Hey, Mark here. I want to talk to you about a 120-mile bike ride I did recently with two other friends. It's something that I did last year, but this year was a lot different. When we started out 6 a.m., it was 34 degrees, and then by the time we got to our starting point where we got dropped off, it was 40 degrees, and there was a strong wind for our first 60 miles. And then we still had a strong headwind probably for another 20 miles. So 80 miles, we were constantly being pushed, and it was very hard to really get your best effort. You had to really work hard, even though the numbers weren't showing it. Our time was very slow. The cold was not exciting. So when you're looking at this, we had set a goal. We wanted to get to Lake George. We wanted to compete that in a day. We had some adjustments here and there, but together as a group, we were a lot stronger. And that was the one thing we learned is that we had to stay together. We had to ride together. If someone was, you know, slowing up a little bit or needed a little break, we took it. And we probably took more breaks than we normally would. But going forward, it was so much better. We were able to kind of figure out between, I forgot my cold headgear, so I had to figure out some other piece of clothing to keep my ears warm under the helmet. Another person who had lost glasses and we found them. Just a number of different things that we overcame. But the weather was one thing. We could have easily got down. We could have tapped out at any point. We could have called and said, hey, pick us up. We're not doing it. But every time we went through it, we got to a point where we would just take a break, get some food, get some drink, and then move forward. And that made a huge difference. Once we had a chance to regroup, we broke it down into basically 20-mile chunks. And that was the best part is you have this big goal. You want to bring it into smaller goals so that you can feel that achievement, that you can say, yes, I made it through, I did it. And the other part is we held each other accountable. I think it was a huge piece going through is that we were there for one another. We made sure that everybody was doing what they needed to and being honest with the group. I think the other part that we had to deal with, and I did a little bit different this year. Normally we're on some very difficult roads in terms of speed. We have cars going by us 45, 50, 60 miles an hour on these major routes. So this year I had set up my radar with a battery plug so that it would last the entire time. So at least we knew when somebody was coming up on us and how many. And then I could say, we got 3, we got 4, down to 1, whatever it was, so that we were more informed. And that made a bigger difference because there were some close calls, but we did a really nice job of staying on top of it. And I think that made a huge difference. And then, as I look at it, I learned a lot about myself that I could do hard goals at times, even though it was cold, it was windy, it was easy to just say, well, let's just get there. Let somebody pick us up. But in the end, I fought through it. I had one moment where I fell back. I said, just go, I'll catch up at the next break. I was hurting. And once I got to the break, I fueled up, I did a few things, picked up, and we finished strong. That happens, right? But they were okay. I communicated with my teammates what we were doing. And I think you can think when you're looking at your own, whether it's your leadership, your work, how do you set up the environment? Do you set up long-term goals? Do you break those down into short-term goals? Do you persevere and make it through the grit? Do you have very good communication? What are those skills that you're using to make success in your own life, work, and really trying to make sure that you are present is the other part. We were present through that whole time. Nobody was thinking, oh, I want to be out of here. So listen, if you're having trouble, you're getting stuck, you're not sure what to do, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care.